From the Avenel Performing Arts Center, with your host, Todd Bivona, Gotham Trintiy Productions presents Live from APAC.
All right, Carrie, so last week we talked about the camps and how we were excited that you guys would be having camps here, a little combination of acting and culinary aspects. So, and I heard you had a great response.
We did. Gangbusters right out the gate. Our cooking class is almost filled. It's almost at capacity. And there's still plenty of room in our theater camps, but we would love to have you. So check out our website, sign on up. Registration's right online, super easy. And we'd love to have you live and in person.
Perfect. And live and in person. And right here, we are actually behind the scenes. We're going to take a walk, right? We're going to check out some of the green rooms and dressing rooms that we have behind the theater here at the Avenel Performing Arts Center, which I love this area.
It's beautiful.
I mean, how excited are you to have kids come here, see this and kind of experience this and see what this is all about?
This is our first foray into education, so we're super excited. It's a brand new facility, brand new building, and we couldn't be more excited to show these students a little bit behind the scenes, but also what it is like performing on an actual real life stage.
And then talk a little bit more about the culinary aspect as well. I thought that was really cool. How are you going to incorporate that again?
Yeah, we have a kitchen on site. Why not use it? Why not utilize it? These kids are looking for things to do. PK has graciously decided to host this culinary arts camp. It is an art, and we're excited to have kids do that. If we can expand even further, we will.
Of course. And so there's still room, you're saying,
There's
Carrie.
still room. There's very limited room in the culinary arts camp, but if we are able to offer more classes, we're happy to. But yeah, sign on up online.
And so far, the parents, I'm sure, just like the kids, are excited to get out, right?
They are so excited. I can't tell you how many parents I've talked to that want their kids out of the house. We're happy to offer them that space.
And I think the kids are just having cabin fever at this point, and they're ready to do just about anything. And now they get to learn a great art of culinary and the theater arts and get to enjoy the behind the scenes with the bright lights. And it's going to be great. So hopefully you join us here at these camps at the Avenel Performing Arts Center.
Thanks so much.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes and leap. It's time to try defying gravity.
And the Tony goes to Debbie Shapiro.
So cool. I can't believe I get the chance to talk to a Tony Award winner, 1989 Tony Award winner. So an honor to be chatting with her today. Great to have her on the program. Let's bring her on. Debbie Gravette joins us. Debbie, how are you?
I'm really good, except they had the wrong logo for Slightly Wicked Divas holiday show. But other than that, I'm great.
Other than that, we're doing great. So Debbie, what's going on in your world? How you been in this quarantine the past few months?
You know what? I have to say that it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I'm doing actually really great. I've been hanging out with my family. My kids have been here. We have a beautiful home in Connecticut. I've been able to garden and watch the flowers grow, and and play tennis, things that I never really get to do. I'm usually traveling all over the place. So it's been a mixed thing. I'm also incredibly sad to not be performing and not have my artist performing. And that's a rough thing to be dealing with for all artists everywhere. There's just the big unknown. But other than that, I'm doing great.
Excellent. Playing tennis. How long have you played tennis for?
Well, I've always sort of played tennis. I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm an LA girl, and I've always played tennis. But, I finally feel like I'm starting to get a little better, which is sort of ridiculous. But I just rarely get to play. So because of my schedule. So this has been an added bonus.
Is that something you'd like to wish to impart on to any one of your three kids?
You know what? All my kids are really, really great athletes, and they're all just so much better than me. Maybe my daughter, I'm a little better than, but you know, she'll kill me, you know, in like a month. She'll be better than me.
Right.
I learned that from ping pong. I was always the best ping pong player, and I'm still really good, and I challenge anyone to play ping pong with me. But let's go, Todd. Let's go.
Debbie, I love ping pong, and I will dominate at ping pong. I invite you to come for a tournament here at the Avenel Performing Arts Center. There's going to be a ping pong tournament. I'm announcing it now. Anthony's going to set it up when we can have full capacity. It's a ping pong tournament, and we're going 1-on-1.
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm so excited. I get to play ping pong with Tony Award winner. All right. Speaking of Tony Award winner, let's get to Debbie Shapiro. What was that like? We saw those scenes from 1989. So cool. Talk a little bit about that. What was that experience like for you, Debbie?
You know, there's nothing better than winning the Tony Award. I mean, that's the ultimate thing in Broadway and musical theater. And it wasn't unexpected, but I didn't expect to win because there were 3 women in the same show, in the show I was in. We were all nominated. 2 of us were in the same dressing room with this poor girl between us, Suzanne Fletcher, because Faith Prince and I were both nominated, and Suzanne Fletcher sat between us in the dressing room, and she was sort of like Sweden. And anyway, and I was nominated against Julie Wilson, the incredible cabaret singer, and I just didn't really think I would win. And so it was pretty friggin' great.
I can't even imagine. That was going to be my next question. Actually, you answered it. Is you're so confident in your work, but then you see who you're up against. Like, what's the expectation like? I think I might get this. I'm gonna get this, or it's like, I ain't got a shot. You know, like, what were you thinking? Like, no shot in heck?
I just thought I had a chance. I mean, I knew I was really confident in my work and what I did in the show, and I had been around for a bit before Jerome Robbins. I mean, I made my Broadway debut in 1979 in they're playing our song. So I knew that I had the weight of that behind me. But you just never know when multiple people from the same show, sometimes you cancel each other out. Eva, thank you. You're so nice. She said this.
Yes. Eva checking in. A couple people who are watching checking in. Odine was also checking in, saying she is your biggest fan. So appreciate the comments live on Facebook. Again, this is live from APAC. So happy you are joining us today. Moving on in our line of questioning, of all the musicals you have done, what was your favorite and also your most memorable experience on stage?
Wow. Well, it's always hard to just name one favorite. There have been favorite moments in each. Obviously, Jerome Robbins Broadway, because I won the Tony Award, that will never change. And I guess because of the importance of the show at the time, and it was Jerry Robbins coming back to Broadway and all the incredible shows he had done. But opening night on Broadway, there was this thing where we all, at the very beginning of the show, we all just sort of walked on stage and took a bow. And on opening night, which was just completely full of stars and, you know, all the writers who had been a part of the show, Leonard Bernstein and Julie Stein, I mean, all these amazing people. We came up, we took a bow. I remember, you know, raising my hand, and we took a bow, and then they would not stop applauding. They just wouldn't stop applauding. Nobody was standing because we hadn't done anything yet. We'd literally bowed. But just the very fact of they knew what I think they were excited about what was coming, and that was really thrilling.
Wow, I just got the chills thinking of that, and that feeling of the vibe from the crowd right there. Wow, such a great description of what that must be like. Connie Scucciofufio, beg your pardon. She is ageless perfection, Connie says of you, Debbie. Reminds me of Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. All right. More people chiming in.
Except I'm going to go do my Jane Fonda workout right now.
It's so funny. Colin, hello. All right. Colin Rio saying, let's go Gotham Training Productions. So happy to be with you today. Next question. Tell us what changed for you and the path that you took and what you're doing now today. How did your path change to what you're doing today?
Well, sorry, I'm like wiping my nose. Isn't that really weird to see?
No, it's fine. It's live. Yeah. Do what you got to do. It's all good.
So I've done 8 Broadway shows. The last show I did on Broadway was Chicago. And while I was doing Chicago, I also was doing a lot of concert work. And I had 3 kids at home, and I was doing 8 shows a week, and I was gone seemingly all the time. And I decided to really sort of concentrate on concert work. And that's been a big difference for me. Then I started doing concert work, and then literally it's only a year and a half ago, I decided to start a company. I had a friend named Lakeisha Jones, and we had sung together in Russia. And she started talking about she would love to do a Whitney Houston show. And I said, I'm going to help you do that. Anyway, that was sort of the beginnings of a company I started called Group 5 Productions. And I basically work with all of my friends who are unbelievably talented in all these great shows, from the Wicked Divas to a slightly wicked holiday show to Whitney with Love, Big Band Broadway, all these shows. And every year there is a big conference. It's called APAC, not APAC, but APAC. And people come, and like sometimes you have a booth. And I had a booth the first time, and this man came up to me named Anthony Wilkinson, and he sat down across from me and he said, okay, what have you got? And Anthony has been one of Group 5 Productions' biggest supporters, and we love him. So that's what I'm doing right now. We're working on, virtual content. That's what we all need to do these days. I mean, here we are on Facebook Live.
Right.
So that's a really long answer to a short question.
No, and understandably so. And I think that's important in the words of the great Anthony Wilkinson, Bananas on Bananas, where we're going on one thing about another, and I totally get it. So that was one of the questions. What are you working on now? So clearly working on that with Group 5 Productions, Debbie?
Yes.
The Group 5 Productions. Very cool. I love that. So it brings me to this next question of, they're saying that Broadway may not be coming on back online till about January. What is everyone over there saying about all of this? And also, do you think a lot of shows will survive this? And you mentioned getting into the digital space a little bit with Group 5. Would love to hear a little bit more how you're also adjusting with your production company.
Well, my son, Sam Gravette, actually had done his, I think, 12th or 14th performance as Fiyero in Wicked on Broadway, when they sort of, I don't want to say pulled the plug, but sort of pulled the plug. And no one thinks that Broadway is going to be back before 2021. I think that in reference to like beautiful theaters like the Avenel, where I think there are possibilities of social distancing, and there's a great backstage area for cast and crew. I mean, hopefully smaller theaters like that, under 500 seats, will be able to come back sooner. But to answer like the big question that everyone asks, including me, I think that until we have a vaccine, I think it's going to be very difficult for a lot of the population to walk into confined spaces. Unfortunately, that's what I feel.
And understandably so. And speaking of confined spaces, of one of the, not the origins of, but we heard about cruise ships having issues with people having the virus and whatnot. Yeah, Debbie, I think you know where this is going. Bonnie has a question with regards to that. Is she worried about the cruise lines with COVID, and will she perform on Royal Caribbean?
Well, nobody's asked me to, but if they did, I'd probably say yes. But obviously, no one is going on cruise right now. Again, I think once there is, a clear treatment, a clear path to this. I mean, we all get flu vaccines now, and including me. I haven't been sick for, I don't even know how long. I'm going to knock on wood right now. Thank you very much.
I got you, Debbie. Go on.
Thank you. You got me covered, all religions. Until that time, I think, again, I just think we all have to just hold our collective breath, be safe for everybody, wear our masks when we're with people, all the things that we all should be doing.
The more we do that, the more caution we take in a small theater, big space, small space, the sooner we can get back and Debbie can get back. And when Royal Caribbean closes, by the way, I was just texting a contact the Royal Caribbean. They're going to get in touch with you. So then you can perform at the Royal Caribbean. So I think we'll get there.
Ping pong.
And then we'll playing ping pong. Yes, ping pong here. That's so cool. I can't wait to play. It's going to be a lot of fun. Debbie, we have another question from Fanny. When is your next show?
Wow. God, I wish I could answer that question, Fanny. Oh my God, that was my grandmother's name. I love that name. I don't know where my next show is because I literally, before we came live on the air, I had yet another show get canceled in Calgary, in Canada, which leaves, I don't know. I pray that the holidays shows will be able to happen again.
Sure.
I don't know, which is why my company is working on some digital content that we can share with people in the comfort of their non-COVID living rooms.
Yes. Got to adjust. Everyone's adjusting. And if you have to do something in this digital space, Facebook Live, maybe set up a small little set like we're blessed to have here at the Avenel Performing Arts Center, you can do that. So best of luck with Group 5 Productions. Obviously, Gotham Trintiy Productions here on the East Coast. Happy to be a part of this and great to be speaking with you, Debbie. We really appreciate the time today. Really an honor to be chatting with you today. Thank you so much.
Todd, and thank you everybody from APAC. Keep supporting that fantastic, fantastic theater. It's a beautiful gem and I can't wait to be back there.
That's right. All right, Debbie, thanks so much. Have a good one. All right, so coming up next is Maria Caruso will be joining us live from her studios. I can't wait to be chatting with her. Ball of energy. Coming up next. All right, and we are back here on Live from APAC. And by the way, before the show ends, the flip that you saw during that little commercial, Anthony Wilson is going to come back on the stage and perform said flip. I will record that and show that to you. But moving to our next guest, Maria Caruso. She's a dancer, choreographer, and based on her backdrop right now, you can see anxious and willing to get to work. Maria, how are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so great to see you.
So good to see you, Maria. How's everything going in your neck of the woods, and what's been going on the past few months?
Well, I've had a huge shift in my world since I haven't been in my studio. My company, Bodyography, we were on tour when COVID kind of took over in the United States. So we got back to the US right in time for kind of our quarantine. And I decided that it was a wise time to learn how to dance virtually, how to create virtually, and more importantly, how to choreograph virtually. So I spent 10 weeks with my entire company reworking my ballet rearview mirror. So it was really an educational experience. I think it was the hardest 10 weeks of work that I've ever experienced as an artist and as a creative and as a dancer. But it was really impactful, actually. It gave me a very different perspective on how I saw the work, and the digital and the virtual platform was really fascinating. And we just finally got back into the studio about 2 weeks ago, and are maintaining our social distancing, but I've actually had 6 rehearsals of the ballet that we reworked, and it's been really incredible, actually. I'm so impressed with my artists who have been working so hard.
And that's great. And everyone's been adjusting. It's great to hear you adjusting as well. We just heard from Debbie with a production company trying to do this virtual space. And it does challenge you a little bit and provide a different perspective into what you do. Speaking of what you do, dancing, your expertise. Tell us how you started dancing and about your career a little bit, Marie, will you?
Well, do we have an hour or two? Because I could really.
Yeah, sure. Take up the whole time. It's fine. Anthony shook his head yes. Not a problem. He loves you. We have to pay Sharon $1,000 per minute, though, that we go over. Go ahead, Marie. Take an hour. Go ahead.
Long story short, I think that my journey into dance was really unique. I started off recreational, and recreational program that my mom put me in. And I think that my parents had gone through a lot. I'm very comfortable saying this now. My parents were married and divorced to each other 3 times. So that for me was, caused a lot of intense feelings. And so I really turned to dance for healing, and I love the discipline. I was not good at all. I was very fortunate, like age 12, to transition from recreational dance to conservatory setting. I had an amazing woman, Luba Takamoto, and also another woman, Sue Hewitt, that really kind of took me under their wing. And, I just decided I really wanted to dance. And I had a really fast-paced journey. I was academically inclined, and I really wanted to pursue medicine, actually. So I ended up continuing studying dance at a very high level, but I took my junior, senior year in high school, my freshman year in college, all in 1 year. So I was 16 when I graduated from high school, and I was a sophomore in college, and then I pursued dance. I got my BFA in dance very young. And, I felt as a young woman in the late 90s, body image issues were huge in ballet in particular. And it was, you had to make a choice. Do I want to be a Broadway dancer? Do I want to be a modern dancer? Do I want to be a ballet dancer? And I really wanted to be everything. So, I really, I got my start at Dance Theater of Harlem, and I felt really comfortable with my body. But I noticed in the cultural landscape, there really weren't any companies that were celebrating body diversity. And, I had a really rough time just with positive body image. And I just had an eating disorder, and I really struggled. And I just decided one day in New York that I was living in New York, and I wanted a company that focused on, the landscape of the body. And that's how Bodyography was born. And I believe that it was about the aesthetic of the technique and not the aesthetic of the body. And what I was trying to embody was that it was a choreographic responsibility. And it was my responsibility to make those bodies make sense on stage. So
I like the aesthetic of the technique and not the aesthetic of the body. My question was going to be, how does one who has that mindset get out of that going against their own self and get to that point of focusing on the body of work as opposed to worried about the actual body? You answered it right there. God, great words, Maria. I really appreciate that. We have a question from Flo already. After an hour of you speaking, we already have a question. Has she ever done a chorus line?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I've done a lot of work in the past 20 years, and I have done something very unique in the dance world. I'm a solo artist, so I've really traveled the world doing my solo show called Metamorphosis, and I've done a lot of solo work with big companies like the Martha Graham Dance Company. I'm one of the just a few artists who ever were licensed to to perform Martha Graham's iconic Lamentation solo. So, I really got not just into dancing myself, but I really became invested in choreography. And so I think my range of choreography is everything from really classical ballet to contemporary ballet and to really fun shows like Rearview Mirror. So Rearview Mirror is, I think, it's very unique in my collection of 125 works, and it's just a fun show. It's very different. So I'm really excited to be branching off and to be doing work that is more about entertainment and not necessarily about high art, so there is a bit of a difference there. And it's been nice to explore that as a choreographer.
Good. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Try something a little bit new. Love that. You were talking about getting acquainted with dancing. How about getting acquainted with the Avenel Performing Arts Center? How did you get acquainted with them and that guy, Anthony Wilkinson?
Oh my gosh, Anthony Wilkinson. I love you, Anthony. So actually, I have a really unique story. I met Anthony at a conference. I know Debbie was talking about APAP. I met him at PA Presenters, and I think we just looked at each other. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, I want to be his friend. So we connected, and
Isn't that how we all feel?
Exactly. He is such a huge, bright light in this world, and I love him. And I'm so grateful to him because my experience with the show, Rearview Mirror, really is all because of him. We met, and he was explaining about the Avenel, and the Avenel wasn't even fully built yet. And I took some time, and I came to New Jersey, and I just remember walking into like this empty shell of a space, and we sat down, and we were just talking about what his vision was and what he wanted to do. And I, said, well, how can I bring that to life with dance? And we kind of together came up with this idea of this like 80s dance review where it's just like watching MTV, and like it's all these music videos are coming to life. And so I, continued to come back to visit Anthony and to watch the evolution of the Avenel Performing Arts Center. Yeah. And we were the first dance show at the Avenel, which was incredible. It's a beautiful space. The community of people are extraordinary. And I think why I love the Avenel so much is because I feel like I'm part of the family in the artistic and directorial and like just the sense of the space, but also in the community. I've met the mayor. He is incredible, and all the leadership in the community. And they're not just really about what's happening at the Avenel. It's so much bigger and so much broader. And I also chair the Performing Arts Department at La Roche University. And I was very fortunate. I had some scholarship money, significant amount of scholarship money, and Anthony and the mayor and everyone in Woodbridge, welcomed me to come in and do an audition. And I'm very, very happy to say that, I distributed, $116,000 in scholarship money when I was there the first time around. And one of my dancers, who's now in my university program, is actually going to be highlighted, and she's going to do a little cameo appearance when we come back and perform Rearview Mirror at the Avenel.
Okay, so she answered 1, 3.
I know. I'm sorry.
7, 12. Question 72. Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh, Maria, how are you? Got to move on. First things first, Anthony says, love you. You're great. Smooches, all that good stuff. He thinks the absolute world of you and is appreciative that you're here. Also appreciative of you being here is Fanzina Facci. These Italian names are fantastic. But all walks of life are always welcome. But that's who we have asking a question is Fanzina. Fanzina asks you, Maria, as a choreographer, does she feel we are migrating back to the moves of the 80s? And does she feel inspired by the Fosse era? Is that how you say it? Fosse? Fosse?
Yeah. Well, going back to the 80s has been pretty wild. And I always tease my students that, now we're in that era of like twerking where everything goes back, everything back. And the 80s was just really about everything was kind of forward. So, it's a totally different way of thinking. Definitely the Fosse nuances and the things I experienced in my training, I think do come. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, everyone's all about the back, and I'm all about the forward.
Get back into it, Maria. Yeah.
Todd, you're going to be in the show. That's it. I'm recruiting you. You're in the show.
I'm coming to Pittsburgh, baby. Get me on stage. Sign me up. I have. You know who's going to do my contract? Sharon Klein's going to do my contract, and I'm going to demand a lot of money per show. You're starting up something in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm your headline, and Sharon's doing my contract. Big money. All right, just so you know. Maria, I'm cutting you off for answering that question. Moving on to Michael G. Grezzu. Wow, she's beautiful. Tell her about the director. Oh, the director, Michael Grezzu. So, Haley Matheson. Maria, you were such an excellent speaker. It's so easy to be excited about your work and your vision, which is very important. You brought up the LaRoche School. You brought up rearview mirror. You literally checked off every single box of the question mark. How about we talk about off-Broadway? What do you have to look forward to this year?
Rearview mirror is going to be at St. Luke's.
She didn't answer that. Okay, so I'm wrong too. Okay, bash the host. That's fine. Let's just hijack the show.
That didn't happen.
Oh, Marie, you're great. All right, let's go to this. I don't mean we're not going to end it on this.
Yeah.
But how has the coronavirus affected you and your show, as well as your work in Pittsburgh?
I actually am in the process of building a theater studio space, restaurant space, very much like the Avenel, called the Movement Factory. And to be honest with you, the little bit of time that I've had here to take to reflect and to work on not just the ballets, the choreography, but to think about the larger blueprint of what arts are going to be like post-COVID. I think it's just really important to be creative. I think we heard earlier about, when is Broadway coming back, having an off-Broadway show. I don't know exactly when we're going to be up and running either, but I remain really hopeful that we can think creatively and think safely as to how we are going to get people back into the live arts space. And I think the Avenel is an amazing example because of the ability to move things around in the actual theater and to make it safe for people and welcome them back. I think it will be a slow progression as we build back into some of the larger landscapes which we perform in. But, I think that spaces like the Avenel are a godsend, and
Yes.
we have to look to these creative spaces to engage so that the audience feels safe and that the performers feel safe. And I think that it's now time to highlight some of the smaller theaters who are thinking very creatively of how to bring people comfortably back into the live arts arena.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that Debbie actually brought up earlier of the intimate setting that is here at APAC. Right, Maria? I mean, if they're thinking about capacity and max, heck, this could be one of the first places to see some great performances sooner rather than later, which is great. So you bring up a good point there, Maria. Maria, we have Odine Azupachi. I love these names. We should consider moving back to NYC. I think she means, do you feel like moving back to NYC?
Cuomo.
And does she like Andrew Cuomo?
I like Cuomo. I'm waiting for an Italian president is what I've been thinking about. I think to myself, we've never had
so has Azupachi apparently, and her friend Facci and Flo Roselli. We're all those. Okay.
We need an Italian president. Yeah,
Sure.
Sorry, I got totally off that one. I look forward to residing in New York City and to having kind of being between Pittsburgh, New York, and now shooting out to LA. So when things are safe and ready to go, I have no fear. I have no fear to come into these great cities. And again, I just think that we just have to walk carefully into the future.
Correct. You have no fear in the concrete jungle. It is here to welcome you with bright lights. Right. Bright lights, big city. And Maria Caruso can handle it. Maria, by the way, you're Italian?
I am. Can you tell by my amazing nose? Come on, Todd. That nose.
So for everyone watching, by the way, this is live from APAC. This is not plastic surgery TV here. But Maria Caruso is joining us, performer, choreographer, excellent person, human being, do a lot of good things out in Pittsburgh. We're imploring her to get back to New York City, but at this time, we have to say goodbye. Maria, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate chatting with you. Love your positive energy vibes. Looking forward to staying in touch.
Okay. Have a great day.
All right, Maria, thanks so much. So cool. A lot of fun. I have fun. And she checked off every single question in one response. Okay, not bad. All right, thanks to Maria. Thanks to Debbie. Plenty more coming up on Live from APAC. So glad you can join us. Don't go away. Coming up next is Agent Sharon Klein.
Now, if you've never been to Newark, I'm sure you've seen her on an episode of Cops. It's a wonderful neighborhood, right? Even my GPS was scared. I typed in the GPS, Newark Airport. She said, good frickin' luck. That's what she told me, right? Here I was, the only white guy in the heart of Newark at 3 in the morning. And do you know those two gentlemen actually offered me something to eat? They came around to me like this. Yo, man, you want a graham cracker? It's not a cookie? I mean, I was talking about this on the cruise ship, and there was a gay fellow in the audience, and he yelled out in the middle of the set, you know what? Maybe you're just jealous and you should try it. I am jealous. They have parades. They shut down New York City, and they have same-sex parades. I'm married 15 years having the same sex. No one's throwing me a parade. I'm in what you call an interracial marriage, and I do say that proudly. Different skin tone, different beliefs. I obviously am Irish, and my wife is an Italian. My parents are your typical Irish parents, and I adore them. My dad's biggest flaw is he uses curse words as an adjective. Now, he doesn't mean anything by it. It's just from, being breastfed in a bar, you pick up bad habits. My mom and dad were famous, so you know what I'm going through. They're the modern-day version in today's world of Edie and Archie Bunker from All in the Family. She's helped me out, dear Lord. Got 125 Italians in my living room with no plastic on my sofas. My mother's Edith Bunker. She's like, I haven't seen this many Italians in one room since I had jury duty. Now, a moment of truth. When you're about to meet the father of the woman you're going to marry for the first time.
I could watch that guy all day. I mean, he is hilarious. Edith, God, I love that show. All in the Family. That's a classic. Hey, wide shot. There's no one on the couch. You just got me at the desk today, but no fear. But we did want to showcase, of course, the beautiful Avenel Performing Arts Center. The seats are empty right now, but also have no fear. I think they will be filled up before you know it. I'm very optimistic. So is everyone working here at APAC. Looking forward to getting some performers here. And also on my desk, no, I didn't forget to get rid of my garbage, ladies and gentlemen. This is some excellent food from the Curtains restaurant right next door that we had. Thank you, PK, for this excellent salmon and sweet potato fries. I freaking love sweet potato fries. And salmon, for that matter. So good. I'm actually really starving. That being said, our last and final guest for this episode of Live from APAC, episode 3, that is Sharon Klein. She is an agent to the stars, just like Jeff Norris, who, point of clarification, we had on that graphic there, September 17th and 19th. It's one of those days. Stay tuned to which day it is. We will get that to you by the end of this interview with Sharon. Let's bring Sharon on and say hello to Sharon. Really appreciate her joining us today. Sharon, how are you? Sharon, you hear us?
I hear you. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, Sharon. So glad you are joining us today. It's an honor to have you, for sure. And, when I hear that name, when a lot of people around here hear that name, everyone thinks a chorus line, right? What was it like back then being part of that original cast? And did you think the show would be as successful as it was back then?
I don't think so, no. During those days, nobody really knew what went on behind the scenes at auditions and really, I'm just crooked here, how painful it is to go through that process. And that's what a chorus line was. It was, what goes on at auditions. And actors in those days were considered gypsies. And, it's just a way of looking at what goes on behind the scenes.
Right. And there's always a lot that goes on behind the scenes, like camera operators, for instance. You are an agent. I could sign you up with a great camera operator to help you with your camera, in fact, so we can talk offline.
Yeah,
and
I'm sort of crooked.
Yeah, just setting yourself up right there. It's fine. We're on live TV.
Oh,
it's only about, 30 million people watching. There we go. Oh, you almost got it.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Don't move. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't say a word. Sharon, you're great. Don't. Okay, good. All right, here we go. Keep it moving here. So tell us about what happens after Broadway for you. And do you ever think of going back?
Oh, God. Well, let me tell you how I even got involved in this. When I graduated college, I was a theater major, and I just didn't know how to break into the business. So I went to an employment agency, I took a typing test. In those days, you had to type to get a job. And I turned the clock back, and I must have, they time you. And I turned the clock back, and I typed like 120 words a minute. So I got a job at the Schubert organization working for the president. So, of course, I was the worst typist. But on my lunch hour, I used to go and see a chorus line every single day. So I knew all the steps. I knew the music. I knew everything. Pamela Blair was my idol. And growing up, people used to call me Tits. So I was sort of
I beg your pardon?
typecast for that. Tits. Tits and ass.
Oh, okay. For a
Can you hear
second,
me?
I thought we were going to get pulled the plug by the FCC, but now that I know it's the name of a song, I feel a lot better
It
about
is.
myself. Okay, good. So you said you're a typist. You were typing at 120 words per minute. Earlier, I challenged Debbie to ping pong at the Avenel Performing Arts Center. Now I challenge you to a speed typing contest right here on
No,
set.
no, no,
So you're
no.
gonna-
I'm ping pong. I'll beat you both.
Oh, you're going to beat me in ping pong too? All right, Sharon.
Yes.
All right. Calm down. You're going to win in the typing ping pong. I doubt that, but that's okay. So let's move on. You represent some of the top comedians in the country now, all of which booked all over the country and whatnot. Boom, coronavirus hits, COVID-19, the pandemic. How are you and your clients handling all this at this point there, Rich?
Well, it's very difficult because to be in an audience, you have to sit next to somebody that's, of course, much less than 6 feet. And even the performers are afraid. Like, for example, we have a comedy weekend coming up at Avenel from July 17th to the 19th. And we requested windscreens to protect the mics between performers because they hold it close to their mouth. So,
Right.
We're taking all kinds of precautions, and I'm sure that the theater will separate people, and it's definitely affecting business without a doubt.
Right.
Most of my shows are postponed till next year.
Right. And understandably so.
Mhm.
And because of COVID, actually, point of clarification, once again, not Lewis is saying what happened to July 17th, that needs to be moved. So we're looking at September 17 to 19.
I'm sorry. You're right. It's September 17th.
No, you said the right thing. I think Lewis was just asking about what happened to 7/17. All good. No worries. But interesting, windscreens. Everyone's doing something different in order to be safe. You might need to use multiple microphones if people feel comfortable and sanitize them. I know in one setting, camera operators were supposed to get a break, and the camera needs to be wiped down and sit for 12 to 15 minutes. And then the next camera operator who's supposed to leaves the person can utilize the camera. So to your point of a windscreen on a microphone to protect, we totally get it. And it's very difficult, Sharon, so I can only imagine what everyone's going through. Reports are showing a lot of people are moving out of New York City. Sharon, is this really the case?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I rambled.
Hello?
Bananas on bananas. Reports are showing a lot of people are moving out of New York City. Is this really the case?
Yes, it is. I have a friend who owns quite a few properties out east in the Hamptons.
Okay.
And although summer season is when it's the busiest, people are going now. They left March 17th to get out of New York City. So, yeah.
Understandably so, right, Sharon? I mean, it was the epicenter for a while, and now we're seeing the spikes in about 26 other states, I believe it was, came out today. And now, as far as New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts are concerned, in that little heat map, looks like that we're actually doing okay. But we still need to be diligent, and we can't have people here at APAC, but we're looking forward to that happening. Hopefully you providing someone like Jeff Norris, who was very funny, by the way. That was a great clip. With all the conferences going virtual
all
this
the
year.
comics that you guys are having are going to be fabulous. Pardon?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's go to conferences, all the virtual conferences. How are you going to sell your clients, and what venues are you pursuing?
I don't know what, I don't understand the question.
The conferences
What-
that like you
what
meet
venues am
like
I-
a guy like Anthony, the conferences to grab talent and see them performance and get them gigs. Have you done anything in the virtual space as far as conferences to see talent and try to book them?
Sure. I mean, I'm trying to sell, my clients on, online. But the problem with that is that they can go to a YouTube like you just showed of Jeff. So why would they pay to see that if they can just go to YouTube? But as far as contacting buyers from other theaters, right now nobody's buying any shows. So I can I do email blasts to a lot of venues, but nobody's doing anything until 2021.
Right. It's gonna take a second to get things back to normal. Eva Fong asks, where are people moving to, and where should we, as comedians, go?
Well, I hear South Dakota is very nice. I mean, South Dakota is totally open. People they're running around naked there. I don't know, but they're having a good time. Florida, the numbers are up. I mean, most people from New York went to Florida.
Right. And now there's restrictions on people coming from these states, right? I know Governor Cuomo, we asked about Cuomo before to Maria's favorite governor. There are restrictions for people coming into New York. So maybe South Dakota's it.
Coming from? Yeah. Is that question coming from a comic?
Eva Fong Anshui. Yes, she is a comic, and that was her question, which definitely valid question. So I guess party in South Dakota. We can play ping pong there, and we can see who can type the fastest in South Dakota. Moving on there, Sharon, what do you think is the future of stand-up and comedy clubs, and do you think it is part of your future?
Well, I'm one of the first. I was the third female member of the New York Friars Club. I don't know if you're aware of the history of that, but that was started by Milton Berle, and all the famous comedians from the 40s and 50s and 60s were there, and in its heyday. Alan King, I mean, everybody, all the old time comics. It's not the same today, of course, because all those people are not with us anymore. But it was all comedians. So that's how I started booking comics. And I think that it's a great time for comics because it's one person on stage. It's not a group. So there's plenty of distance between the performer and the audience for sure. And I think people need laughter now more than ever. I just think comedy should be everywhere.
Agreed. Totally agree. I think we all need it. I miss going out to comedy clubs myself, in fact. Jack Kusher saying, love you, my longtime friend. That'll be Sharon's ping pong partner. So we're already doing a doubles match. I thought we were doing one-on-one here, but all right, Jack, you want to do a 2-on-2? We do a little double, little doubles? That's fine. He's an old pro, so he's a ringer. So in between gigs, that's what he does. All right, Jack, you're on. Fine. Debbie and myself versus Sharon and Jack. Winner gets the rights to the Avenel Performing Arts Center, knocking out Anthony Wilkinson. I'm kidding. So that should be fun. In South Dakota. Next question from Bonnie.
Jackie, by the way, is a. Okay.
Go ahead.
How does she feel about moving to New Jersey?
Oh,
what?
She's going to read the question. Can you read that? Throw on the glasses. There you go. Hey, let me read it for her. How does she feel about moving to New Jersey?
How does she feel about moving to New Jersey?
Is rent going down in NYC?
I didn't move to New Jersey.
Where are you reporting from right now?
In New York City. I'm recording from Manhattan, Upper East Side.
Upper East Side, where the rent never goes down, no?
Yeah. No.
But it's great to be in the city. I mean, how was it being in the city the past few months?
I loved it. I watched every series on Netflix that there is. I'm watching Outlander now. I mean, what could we do? I mean, it was really We had to be
$1 million
isolated.
question. Did you watch Tiger King?
I could not get into that. I don't know why. I just could not get into it, Todd.
Sharon, at some point,
But people
that
love
was the craziest thing going on, and then
I know, my
the
niece-
world exploded. I mean,
loved it.
it was so enjoyable. No,
No, not for me. Outlander is the best thing I ever saw.
talk about comedians and comedy from being a bad one to a good one. Is that the question from the audience that I hear? Yeah. What does it mean to be discovering someone from, I guess, just starting out to a good comedian? What separates them?
Timing. The timing has to be impeccable. The jokes have to be funny. If you're telling a story, a punchline better kill, or it's not going to work. There's too much competition out there. And basically, I can tell in the first 60 seconds if a comedian is funny. I mean, you saw Jeff Norris. You know, as an audience member, you would know in 5 seconds if you think he's funny.
Correct.
Right? But practicing, I mean,
Even the ding agrees with me. Even the phone agrees. Ding.
Yeah. So they should go to a comedy night.
That was supposed to be
open mic
comedic
nights and
timing.
practice.
That's what I was going for there.
Well,
I'm not a funny guy at all, so that's why I was trying to go with the
No,
correct,
Todd, you
right,
were very
ding.
funny just
You
now.
see what I'm going with that, Sharon? Sharon, work with me here.
I got it, Todd. Now, Anthony is somebody I can book Anthony.
Yes, Anthony's a
Can I tell you
freaking
an
comedian.
Anthony story?
Go ahead. I love your
He is
story,
so
Sharon. Go
funny.
ahead.
Okay, first of all, you cannot get him on the phone. He's impossible to get. So
I agree.
Finally get him on the phone. He's talking for a minute. He says, "Hold on a second." He comes back. He says, "I have to go. I have the mayor on the other line. I'll call you back." Okay, so he has the mayor on the other phone. So he calls me back, and I said to him, "You have to hold on. I have the president on the other line. I'll call you back." So, I mean, who gets the mayor on the other line? I mean, it's just hilarious. But Anthony's very entertaining.
He's kind of a big deal. You know, let's put that
He's
and
the
be
best.
quite frank about it. And you could book him anywhere, and he would be successful. And if anyone is successful, they're being booked through Sharon Klein, an agent to the stars. Many comedians known back at the Chorus Line. It was an honor to speak with you today, Sharon. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. That was great. What a show. Again, this was a live from APAC, episode 3. Episode 3. I'll figure out English at some point. Episode 72 and a half. I'll figure it out. But this was the Wednesday, June 24th, episode 3, a live from APAC. Really glad you were joining us today. Really special thanks to Debbie Gravette, Maria Caruso, Sharon Klein, and of course, Cara Rubino at the top of the show from APAC. And good to hear about the camps, right, and how successful they are. Don't forget the theater camp, along with PK over at Curtains. Remember the food that I referenced that I still haven't touched. I will touch that when we get off air. But for all information, be sure to go to APAC's website. Dixie Longake's Tupperware Party coming in September. August, close enough. The months are real close. Dixie, who of course joined us on last week's show, was an absolute thrill, was so funny. It was really cool. So again, thank you so much for watching today. This was live from APAC. My name is Todd Bivona from Gotham Trintiy Productions. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Are you ready for America's favorite Tupperware lady to blow you away?
See why the LA Times raised "I was laughing too hard to breathe."
Back the truck up. Woo!
Join Dixie and discover why the Today Show cheers not your grandmother's Tupperware party.
Is this a real Tupperware party? Yes.
See why audiences the world over love to party with Dixie.
Woo! Yeah.
Come see Dixie's Tupperware Party.